Hi, this is Rosalinda with Viewpoint. Thank you once again for joining us. We're coming to you from KSKC TV in Pablo, Montana, from the Salish Community College campus. And I'm so happy to do this particular episode because it's a follow-up episode with Michelle Williamson, and we also have a new person with us, and her name is Susan Morris. So welcome to the show, ladies. I am so happy to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
It's a great deal. The work that you do in the community is important, and we need to talk about it and continue doing this great work. Michelle is a co-coordinator for Summit Independent Living of Lake County. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Susan is the outreach specialist for Summit Independent Living, and she works out in Missoula and
also Sanders in Mineral County and Lake County.
Wonderful. And we're going to be talking about many different subjects regarding Summit Independent Living. And so, Michelle, I just wanted to thank you for coming back on the show. I understand that from our last interview, you had a great response. Is that right?
Yeah, more people were aware that we're here, and that's important to us because we have a lot of services to help people. If they just know that we're there, we will help them.
That's really good. I'm glad the Viewpoint could help you with that. And so so that our viewers can know about what Summit Independent Living is, can you tell us what the mission is?
It's an advocacy center that helps people in the community be aware of self-advocacy and their values, and letting the community know what some of the important things about disability rights are, so that people with disabilities can live their most and highest potential in life.
That's wonderful. And so, Susan, is your office in Missoula, or where is your office?
Yes, the main office is in Missoula, and we've got the satellite offices in Lake County where Michelle is.
Okay.
Also in Hamilton and in Kalispell.
That's great. So you all are like all over Montana, practically giving out these great services to people who need it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So there are a couple of things that Summit Independent Living also does, and can you talk about what consumer control is?
Consumer control is where we give our consumers knowledge so that they can have the right to make their own decisions for what things affect their life. So that, like, if they need help in their house, they know what services are available. If they need help with medical assistance, we can point them to programs that will help them, and just letting them know what's there so that they can choose and we're not the one choosing for them.
Wonderful. And what about self-help and self-advocacy?
We again assist people with disabilities to know how to speak up for themselves in the public. We teach, or we assist them in knowing what their rights are, and we help them to become their own advocates. So if they have to talk to instructors if they're at school, doctors when they're in the doctor's office, anybody that's out in the public, they know how to do it, and they know how to come across assertive without being rude.
Because that can be scary for a lot of us, even for just me, for an example, that I may be scared about even approaching someone or how to approach a doctor's office if you had issues, or if you had something to do with disabilities or anything of that nature. Am I right?
And that's the whole reason why we do that, so that they don't have fear, and so that they build confidence in what they know, and they can be more assured of what they're doing to get their needs met.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You're also kind of like building leadership skills in a way. Am I right?
Yes.
That's great. And what about what is like peer support? What do you mean when they talk about peer support?
Peer support is a program that we have throughout all independent living centers in Montana, where we try to match up somebody that comes into the office needing help with somebody that is a peer advocate so that they can assist them. And what this does is that tries to minimize having to explain what somebody is going through in a disability, because if we match them up, we try to match them with somebody that is going through the same or similar difficulties or problems or has faced that, so that they know that there's a knowledge base there.
So being sensitive to your clients' needs, to your consumers' needs is very important, and matching them up with people that can also help them is what I'm hearing. Is that
Yes.
right? And I think being sensitive, period, all across the board needs to happen in our society more so.
Yes, it does.
You know, against any kind of populations. When we talk about disability, I don't think people understand about what cross disability is. Can you explain what that is for us?
That is where our agency doesn't discriminate against the disability that's presented to us. People come to us that are blind, people come to us that are deaf, people come to us with learning disabilities, cognitive disabilities, people who have mobility issues like myself. We don't care what the disability is, we just want to help. So we don't look at somebody's disability and say, oh, that's something we don't deal with. We do with what we have to the best of our ability and try to give them as much help as we can within the scope of our services.
Absolutely. And to my viewers out there, this is such an important issue. This is a whole segment of the population that I feel that there isn't enough education out there about what services can be provided for people who have disabilities, and also just having the human factor in place about what it means to have a disability, and also just, you know, just the services that are out there again. I'm sure that when you're going through the whole process of looking at your clients or consumers, there has to be something about, you have to explain to them what their rights and rights are. Can you talk about that, Michelle?
We assist them in knowing, again, what their rights are and what their responsibilities are, so that when they come away from getting help from us, they have a better knowledge base, so we can guide them to know what's legally right and what's humanly right. And in those regards, after we get done showing them the basics of ADA, and this is what you should know as a renter, and this is what you need to know for transportation, specifically here to Montana, or whatever the issue might be, if they still need help, we help them go to places like Human Rights Montana, or to Client Assistance Program in Montana, or Free Legal Aid, and that way they can get more assistance if they need to.
That is, you just said like 3 or 4 different organizations that are connected to Summit Independent Living. And so it's very important if people who want to be part of, who want to seek out your services, to find out more about these other services, it's important that that linkage is done. Susan, did you want to add a little bit more to what rights and responsibilities?
On one hand, people have rights, but then they also have the responsibility. It's like Summit doesn't do things for people. We provide information and referral and skills training so that they can do things for themselves. And that's their responsibility, is to do things for themselves, be responsible for their own condition. And another thing I wanted to add on different, you know, the cross-disability issue is that some people have visible disabilities, but then there's a lot of people who have invisible disabilities, and you don't know it.
True.
So, and when they come into Summit, we don't ask you to provide proof that you have a disability.
That's good.
We take your word for it, you know.
That is so good to know.
And it's also, it might, I mean, as people age, we all acquire disabilities. You know, it doesn't, you have to be born with it, have a car accident, something traumatic, but as you age, you acquire disabilities. So It might just be a health condition that is causing people problems with their daily living.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
I think that that's an important point to make as we move forward in this interview, and also people who may think about that they may be more older in age and may think that, well, I really can't go there to get services, but you're saying that they can, and so
Yes,
that is
they can.
really,
It's a huge part of our consumer base.
that's
elderly.
really important. Wow, that is, wow. So equal opportunity and participation in family and community life, is that a program or a philosophy that's adopted?
That's part of our philosophy.
Awesome.
Because we believe that everybody with a disability has a right to participate in family life and in community life to the best of their ability. And that's why Summit Independent Living, or any independent living center here in Montana, is so important, because we show people that they do have this right and they can. And when we help them learn what is out there to assist them to do that, we know that we've made the community stronger. We know we've made that family stronger, and even the individual with disability stronger, because they feel more connected.
They feel more connected.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to add a little bit?
I
to
do.
that?
We have and it's not a summit idea, but it's called visitability. And so we're advocating for that with builders and architects. And what it is there's a basic visitability features. There has to be at least one zero-step entrance into the house so that people in chairs and so forth can get in there. There has to be one bathroom that has maneuverability and people can transfer. And the doorways, at least on the bottom level, have to be wide enough to accommodate wheelchairs, and it's called visitability. And we're trying to get builders and, like I say, architects to start incorporating that as a matter of course in their design.
That is such a great thing.
Yeah,
If people want to find, so Summit Independent Living must know what the specifications are as it
Sure.
relates to how wide a door should be.
Mm-hmm.
All those kind of public accommodations that so many of us take for granted. And Michelle, I wanted to talk a little bit of what you said about the family aspect, about the equal opportunity participation in family community life. It's almost like Summit Independent Living becomes a family.
Yes, we
For
are
your
very
clients,
much so.
for your consumers. And I can hear that in what you're saying, because I can see, and I've seen this firsthand, that people who have disabilities and families, that they may be disfranchised from their immediate families for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so good to hear that, because I think that what happens even with people who have AIDS, who end up getting diagnosed with AIDS, they feel so isolated. And so, not that I'm comparing the two, but I think isolation is a huge factor. And I see that you all trying to combat that in a very positive way.
Yes, we do, because we understand, just like you do with people that have AIDS or whatever, that people in the community, they don't mean to be mean. I believe that in my heart, but it's also because they're afraid. And people, when they're afraid, they do things that they wouldn't normally do. And so when we come to people, or people come to us for help, we hope that we knock down that barrier of fear, because people with disabilities, no matter what the disability is, seen or unseen, known or unknown, people just react because they're afraid. And the more knowledge that we give people, the better it will be for everybody.
This part of the show, we're going to be speaking about Women Safer, Stronger programs, and Suzanne Morris is the outreach specialist for Summit Independent Living. And so please tell us, what is this project that you work on? Susan.
What it is, it's a collaboration between Portland State University and University of Montana Rural Institute, and they've contracted with Summit Independent Living Center and also 2 others, independent living centers, one in Arkansas and one in Arizona. And what it is it's a randomized controlled field study to test the efficiency of the online Women's Safer, Stronger training program. And what the program does is it helps women to first realize what abuse is and learn how to protect themselves against it.
This is such an important topic. I'm on the board of directors of Doves, which is a domestic violence advocacy in Polson. And so this is great work. Can you tell me when will the project be conducted?
Well, they're hoping to start the pilot project by November 1st. I should be getting a recruitment flyer soon. And the pilot will be doing the project with 10 women. And that's just to kind of work the bugs out. And then the main project, I'm not sure when it'll start. It depends on how long the pilot takes and what corrections they need to make through the program. But we'll be recruiting somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 women from western Montana. And I'm really interested in bringing it out to the rural areas rather than just in Missoula, so to get the rural perspective.
And if women want to participate in this project, how do they reach you, or is there a process or an application?
What they can do is they can call Summit's 800 number, and it's 800-387-9002, or they can call Michelle's office, and that number is
676-0190.
Perfect.
Okay, and if they're interested, and there'll be a few screening questions, and actually the message will get relayed to me, and I will call people back. So they need to be 18 or older. They need to have a disability or some health condition that limits their daily living, and they need to live in the community or in assisted living, so not in nursing homes or institutions.
Perfect. So this is such a great program to have, in addition to everything else that you folks do with Summit Independent Living. Can you tell me a bit more about this program and what the women will be doing?
Well, what they'll do is they'll come into either the independent living centers, or if they're more comfortable, we can meet someplace else out in the community. And they will take a pre-test. So before they do the training program, they'll take a test. They just ask them questions about their experience with abuse and ways that they protect themselves. And it's an online questionnaire, and it gets loaded directly down into Portland State's database with no identification, so it's totally confidential. Nothing is saved on the computer that they're doing the questions and testing on. So they'll do that, and then they'll go through the training program. And actually, when they do those first test questions, the program will randomize them into one of 3 different categories. And one category, the women, what they'll end up doing is just a health and wellness training. In the second category, they will do the Women's Safer, Stronger, which we call SSP to shorten it up.
Sure.
They will do that training. And then the third category is they'll get the SSP, plus they'll get a 30-minute question discussion period afterwards with the facilitator of the training, which would probably be me. And then after that's all done, they'll do the post-training questionnaire online again to just kind of gauge what they got out of it.
Perfect.
And then also they will come back in 3 months to do a follow-up training to see what their retention level was of the training, and also to see if they implemented any of the safety strategies that
is great.
And another thing I wanted to mention is that the SSP itself, it integrates, like I said, safety strategies, as well as survivors' own accounts, own life stories, women with different types of disability, talking about the abuse that they encountered and how they dealt with it.
So it's the abuse that they've encountered as having a disability.
Right. Well, the reason that they did this, that Portland's doing this, is because studies have shown that women with disabilities experience probably about, what did I say, 35% experience some type of abuse, whereas the general population without disabilities only experience like 18%.
That is horrifying to hear.
It's huge numbers. It's like double.
That is horrifying.
And you know,
yeah.
abuse is so prevalent anyways.
Absolutely.
And just women with disabilities that were surveyed, 62% experienced some type of disability or abuse during their lifetime. And there's many different types of abuse. And that's another thing that the program touches on is, you know, aside from what usually people think about as physical and sexual abuse, there's also verbal abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse. There's just from caregivers, from friends, from family, from strangers, but normally it's somebody that's close to you that are quite in control. I mean, abuse can just be not coming and getting you out of bed in the morning, you know, not helping you get it, you know, into your chair and get dressed and have food and the basic necessities of life. And a lot of times people don't even realize that it's abuse because, you know, especially if it's just like verbal or just ignoring you or just pretending they don't hear you or, you know.
Right.
So, yeah. And then of the 62% of the women with disabilities that said they experienced some type of abuse, I believe it was like 67% experienced physical abuse and 53% it was sexual abuse.
Those are just high numbers for this particular topic. It's just horrifying. I'm so glad that this program is out there. Are you collaborating with different organizations on this project, local? And
at this point, yeah, we're working with the YWCA in Missoula.
Perfect.
We're going to be, of course, recruiting people, women. That's, you know, for the main project, 120 women is a lot. And we want a good cross disability, and like I said, we want urban and rural as well. And I've also spoke with some of the folks here at the college about getting some help recruiting from them. So, yeah.
So again, how do they reach you to get in contact with you to get on this project?
They can either call Michelle at the 676-0190, or they can call Summit's 800 number, and that's 800-398-9002.
Perfect.
And just ask for me or Jude.
Perfect. And so, in what you do with this program and what Michelle does with her program, you all certainly link paths and cross paths in positive ways.
Yeah.
I'm sure. One of the things that I wanted to highlight a little bit about Michelle is that not only is she the co-county person for Summit Independent Living, but you also are chair of
the Native American Task Force.
The Native American Task Force. Can you just elaborate a little bit more of what your role is with this task force, Michelle?
I'm the chairperson, and that means that all 4 centers here in Montana, Summit, Montana Independent Living Project, LIFT, which is Living Independently for Today and Tomorrow, and Nickel, which is North Central Independent Living Services. They all have people in their group that are Native American, and so our focus is to get the IL philosophy into Native American communities so that Native American people with disabilities can have the same knowledge and the same strength to get their needs met. Right now, our focus after having a workshop in Great Falls is to help with better housing, not only accessible housing, but suitable, safe housing.
Wonderful.
So we'll be working on that for a little while.
So then when you say IL, you mean independent living? Is that what you mean when you talk about IL? Okay, great. So then one of the events that you'll be doing is the Medicaid for Workers with Disabilities. With the short period amount of time we have left on the show, can you briefly tell us what that is and the dates and times where it's going to be at?
That's a great new program that just started on July 1st. It's a new Medicaid category. It's for Medicaid for workers with disabilities, and I'm still learning about it myself. But on the 20th of this month, right here at Salish Community College, at the late Louis Kai building, we will be having a presentation being done by Justin Field. He is one of our co-workers, and he will explain to everybody what that is. And just briefly in a nutshell, it's kind of like it's a medical insurance program that people with disabilities can buy into and pay a premium according to their income.
Wow,
so
that's great.
I would like to extend an invitation to people that serve people with disabilities, such as the Area 6 Agency on Aging and the Office of Public Assistance, to come out and to learn more.
That is such a great event. It sounds like it's going to be great, and if people,
it's free.
And it's free. So folks, this event is free. So come to this event. In case they cannot come to this event, they can certainly still contact you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And they can get more knowledge on the website of Summit, which is www.summitilc.org, and it has a information page right there on the homepage.
And folks, if you need to contact Summit Independent Living, that website has an enormous amount of information on there. It has a lot of contact information on there, and I believe it has the Working Well with Disabilities classes that happen on there with the Summit Conference. So thank you so much, ladies, for being on the show. Is there any closing remarks that you'd like to say real briefly?
I'd just like to mention that the women that participate in the SSP program will be compensated $30, and there are also funds available for transportation and childcare.
Thank you. Michelle, real quick, since we have a little bit of time left.
Just remember, people with disabilities are people first. And so if we help them or help anybody meet their needs, that's what our goal is to teach people how to live independently.
Thank you so much for being with us, ladies. This is Rosalinda de la Luna Long with Viewpoint. Thank you, viewers, for being with us today.